Tatiana, how the heck are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am so good. I'm a longtime fan, all the way to those Orphan Black days where all of us
Nice.
went, "Oh my god, her." And yeah, I've been waiting for a show that really showcases all the things, kind of like Orphan Black did.
Mm.
This is one of those shows where it's
Mm.
like emotional Orphan Black, where you get to do all of the different emotions again and again.
Right.
It's fantastic. So I loved it.
Great.
Congratulations on it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. So this, like I was saying, it jumps between like comedy and paranoia and real emotional weight, sometimes multiple times in a scene. Was that kind of the draw, the challenge, or was it something else specifically that you're like, ooh, that looks like I want to do that?
Yeah, like that tone, like chaos was so exciting to me where I couldn't place it. And I was asking like what do you feel like this might tonally resemble, and there were a few references, but it felt like it was really like its own thing. And that was really exciting to me because it felt like we would be like really building it, as a collective, as an ensemble. And I mean also just like the ensemble of characters in it that are all so different and fun,
Mhm.
and nobody is like one thing. Everybody's got multiple sides to them.
So much going on,
Mhm.
and just with your character, like her desire is treated like a crime
Mm.
in the show, where every time she reaches for something, she gets slapped and punished for it,
Yeah,
and
thank you. Thank you so much for reading that. That's exactly right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So does that obviously that clicks for you, or do you not intellectualize when you're just before you performing the scenes, or do you kind of go through that after?
No, I mean, I think that was something that came to me as we were doing it. I was like,
Yeah.
Jesus, like every time, yeah. And like her desire is the thing that got her in trouble in the first place. And her desire is also like loneliness and need to connect and like very human and very real. And so it is, yeah, it's an interesting, like, navigation of that, and where she does try to fight is as much as she's fighting for, like, "Hey, look how responsible I am, and look how together
Yeah.
I am, and look how good of a mother I am." She's also like, "I just wanna be myself. I just wanna be able to live my life." Yeah.
And she's both incredibly smart and constantly making horrible decisions.
Mhm.
Like, there's 2
Yeah.
things at once there. How do you calibrate it so the audience doesn't go, "Well, I'm out," you know? 'Cause ever all along the way, the audience stays with you, and I
Yeah.
think that's a testament to you.
I mean, that's awesome. I don't think I'm ever conscious of that, and in fact, I, like, would love to push up against that as a challenge,
Sure.
to see, because I think audiences enjoy characters that are unpredictable and that they can't totally relate to or can't place, like,
Yeah.
that's fun for me at least. I don't relate to Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood, but I can't stop watching him do that, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's fascinating to watch characters that are morally sort of gray that we can't totally like get behind all the time. But
Yeah.
also like for Paula, she, like you said, she's like impulsive and she's very smart. And so there's enough there that I think people can be like, I think she's a good person, maybe. Until the
She's
end, and then
trying
we
her
don't know.
damn best, you
She's
know?
tried her best, yeah.
And then you're working opposite Jake Johnson. I just spoke with him. He's
Mm,
delightful as you would expect.
yeah.
And you know, that relationship feels so real and strained and lived in, and it's just so sad that they couldn't, make it work. How much of that is just on the page versus you two really have to collaborate closely to perfect it?
I mean, what's great about, like, working with Jake on this is, like, the first scene we had was the scene it's the first scene that we see each other in where I come in to, like, go get Hazel and blah, 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 and we start very civil, and then you start to feel those little, like, itchy moments where we could just both of us could blow, and it's interesting playing that with an actor who you don't know, and you
Yeah.
have to play with this history. But like what's so great about Jake is that he brings in all that history, and I bring in all of the stuff I know about being in a relationship, and the two of us are strangers. Paula and Carl are strangers to each other because they're in a totally different dynamic. And yet there's a lot of affection there, and so
Yeah.
it's like that stuff is like there's so much there to play with,
It really is.
Yeah.
I was talking to David and David earlier and, trying to get any teases I could because you get to the end and you're like, "Oh, they have ideas for where this goes beyond this." Have you talked to them about what you would like for her in future seasons, or is that not a part of are you just, like, along for the ride here?
Yeah, I'm kind of along for the ride. I really, like, trust them, and
Yeah.
I trust all the writers so much, and I trust the ensemble. Like, I feel very much like the show that we were setting out to make is what we did,
Mhm.
and the pace of it, the energy of the editing, the speed of the show feels like, "Oh, yeah, that's the inside of this life. That's the inside of Paula's head." Like, that's exactly what it feels like. So, like, when you feel like the thing you're putting out on the day is then also supported and, like, ameliorated by, like, all of the people who come into the project after to, like, build it, it's like, yeah, just, like, you can just let go and just be, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that and the exclamation points they put at the end of every episode where you're like, "Well, I gotta watch the next one now, god damn it." I went through
Yeah.
this in, like, 24 hours.
Did
I think I went
you?
through the whole thing.
Oh my
Yeah,
god, I'm
yeah,
so sorry.
yeah, and I have 3 kids, so it's just
Wow.
kind of I have to do it.
So they didn't eat for
Um,
3 days? All
yeah, I
day?
just, completely ignored them
You
and
just
threw them in
threw
a corner. No,
snackables
no.
at them? Yeah.
You played clones, you played superheroes. Do you actively look for roles that fracture your character into multiple versions, or does that keep finding you
I think
because of
it's
Orphan Black?
yeah, it sort of keeps finding me, and it's like it's cool because it's a thing that I feel very drawn to, like, is this idea of, like, all the possibilities of people that are in us or that we could
Yeah.
have been, and I think, like, that's acting in a nutshell, so I think that, getting to explore that and also just, like, the idea of a woman being adaptable and knowing what the situation requires of her and becoming that, to be safe, to
Mhm.
not embarrass somebody, to not be threatening, like, all of that stuff feels like it's a little bit of, like, the material I'm playing with. Um, but yeah, it is funny that it kind of even with Paula, it sort of happens.
I have to talk a little bit about She-Hulk because
Uh-huh.
I'm a huge fan of that show.
Yeah,
I love it so much. One of the things
great.
I loved and people love so much is how it played with tone and broke the rules so much, and
Mhm.
especially that last episode where you just basically you had already foreseen what the fanboy reaction was going to be, like
Yeah,
the toxic version of the fanboy, and you
yeah.
made them the villain, and I was like, "God damn, that's fucking awesome."
Yeah, thank you.
Do you think that character, then the way you guys portrayed it, can exist in something as big as, like, an Avengers story, or do you prefer she stays in her own corner?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm so like I think it would, take somebody like Jessica Gao to like weave her into that world because she
Yeah.
knows that character so deeply and like loves her and gets her tone and gets but there is something about She-Hulk being like the star of her own show that sort of makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Like that because of the direct address,
Yeah.
she is like she is our narrator. So I think it would be a real cool challenge to see her in some other context. But I do think she like the sort of joy of She-Hulk is in the like singularness of it.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
What do you think is more likely, a season 2 or her popping up, like, and crossing over with someone else?
You mean She-Hulk or
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
She-Hulk and
yeah.
Paula are gonna meet.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I mean a crossover would be fun if it was yeah, it would be
Yeah.
very fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think people would be so mad at me. For being on their screens again.
I would not. I
Oh,
would
well, good, that's
absolutely love
good.
it. I know you're teaming up with Oz again, Oz Perkins. I
Yeah,
was talking to him for The Monkey and Keeper, which I
yeah.
loved.
Oh.
His work just lives in that eerie, unsettling space. I would love to know, like, what keeps you coming back to, like, you're doing the young people. What keeps you coming back to Oz?
It's just so fun. He's
Yeah.
so much fun. He is, like, delighted on set every day, and he shares that with everybody. Like, he loves what he does so much. He has such a specific brain. He has such a, like, drive to see the vision in his head realized, and he lets people around him be great. Like, he
Yeah.
gives them the support that they need to be great, and he trusts his, like, artists who are in his orbit. He brings you back all the time, and I'm not talking about actors, I'm talking about, like, crew. Like, he
Mhm.
brings people back, he has, like, a real, like, family that he works with, and I just think he takes enormous swings, and I love a big swing. I love, whether people love it or they don't get it or whatever it is, it's like, I would rather be part of something like that than something that tries to be something everyone's gonna understand.
A frickin' man.
Yeah.
They're gonna pull me out of here by my throat. I'll just say Maximum Pleasure
Again.
Guaranteed hits Apple TV Plus on May 20th, and, yeah, frickin' rules. Thanks for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, thanks.
All right, Mike D'Angelo from the playlist. Jake, how the heck are you, man?
What a screening room you got there, Mike.
This is my house.
That's
This
cool.
Yeah, well, this is where I watch everything,
You got
including
Jurassic
Maximum
Park
Pleasure.
back there too?
You're damn right I did. A little
That
salute.
that a
Little just
boy,
like,
that a
I see
boy.
you. Little Lowry.
Now we're
Nod.
talking. I was sad Lowry never really came back.
Me too, man. What happened?
So the third one, the pandemic one, Colin and I there was a part and we were trying to make it work, but it was my kids were so young and I would have had to leave them. I couldn't bring them because of the hotel and everything was crazy.
Yeah.
And then I know the second one, Derek and Colin had written a part from, but then it went another direction. So we were like so close to it, and then Colin's off the project. So I think that's probably the end of Lowry, but maybe Lowry can find his way back. I haven't watched the new one.
Fingers crossed, man.
Is there any connection to the old one, or is it all new now?
I mean, it doesn't exclude the old
Now
ones.
you're
So,
talking. How about some new life for Lowry in
yeah,
the
how
Jurassic
about
Park
just a
franchise?
Lowry movie, man? Just
Not just a Lowry. The thing
just
I
him
was
getting
I'll
lost,
tell
you
you what
know?
I was pitching for the second one with Derek. What Derek Conley and I went out one night and we're talking. And I was like, what if he comes back and he's like Tom Cruise on Born on the 4th of July? That he's got a big ponytail where like he had gone too deep, man. And he's all like jumpy, like, because if you really play, he saw these dinosaur attacks. He's got like John Lennon cool glasses on, or he's like the guy in Jacob's Ladder, where he's like, he's just gone too far, man.
Mhm. Now we're talking.
Now we're
Now that's
talking.
what's gonna get me back.
I want a dark indie movie called Lowry Explains It All.
That's what I'm talking about.
Same.
Well, I'm a big fan of yours
Thank
and the
you, brother.
podcast and all the things, so I
Thanks,
appreciate you taking
man.
the time to chat.
Of course.
And I'm from Milwaukee. I know you're a Chicago guy.
Yeah, but
I'm
hey,
not
my
gonna make you
brother's
say
bachelor
go
party
Pack
was
or
in
anything.
Milwaukee. That's where my mother's family's from. I got a lot
Heck
of love
yeah,
for
man.
Milwaukee.
I still won't make you say go Pack Go or anything, but,
I can't. I
regardless.
can't and can't.
Yeah, I know you can't. I mean, let's talk about Maximum Pleasure Guarantee because it's fucking awesome.
Thanks, bud.
You usually play these characters who are like, "Man, I want to hang out with that guy." And I'm not saying I don't want to hang out with Carl, but he's a real dude, and it's
Yeah,
just someone where you're having a very intense co-parenting conversation with this guy.
correct.
And so I'm curious, was it just like exploring different lanes that hooked you into Carl, or what was it that really grabbed you from the show?
Honestly, for me, a lot of the jobs, I don't audition.
Yeah,
So a lot of the parts that would really stretch and show a different side that I would love to do as an actor, you got to audition for. But the problem is when you audition for something, I don't think you have any right to stand on to try to be a partner in the character. And when I join a job, I don't want to tell the director or the writer what to do with anybody else, but I do want to say in how my character portrays and acts and is alive. I don't feel like an actor's job is just to be a tool that's moved around by the director. I think it's a partnership. But I think if you audition for something and you fight for a job, that's like begging to go to a party and then asking if you can turn the music down a little bit. It's like, well, get out of the party, man. But if
do you mind if I
somebody
put on polka?
exactly just one, but if somebody asks you to come to a party, you can say, I would love to go to the party, but can we play one polka song?
Yeah,
And so very rarely do I get the opportunity to play a character like Carl that isn't, something people have seen me do before, because
yeah,
very rarely are people going to offer something that they don't know. But the safety I felt in it was David Gordon Green was doing the pilot.
yep.
And I've been dying to work with David Gordon Green for over a decade. And so for me, it was the writing was so crisp. And then the idea of working with David was, I mean, I would do just about anything with him.
I've been talking to a lot of actors lately, like, I mean, not to name drop or anything, but
Please.
Jason Segel, and
Yes.
like, I was talking to the director of Holcomb about Adam Scott, and how those actors are really looking for roles that are weaponizing the cachet that they've earned with audiences, their
Well, that's
likability.
interesting.
And I was wondering if this is kind of something where you're steering in that direction, where you're like, can we push my likability
You
with
know,
this character?
truthfully, I would love to. I would love, I mean, I would love the opportunity to play a serial killer. I'd love the opportunity to play somebody who uses his charm to get in and then
Hmm.
shows the other side. Um, but with that, you need a director who's a partner.
Oh
You need
yeah.
a great script. And for me, it's got to either be in Los Angeles or I've got to have a small enough part where I can be home a lot of the time.
Mhm.
So a lot needs to happen. Uh, After my kids turn 18, if this business is still going the way it's going, I'm very happy to go to Iceland and play a really dark character. But
Yeah.
I'm not missing fall to do it at this point.
Yeah, I get it. I have 3 kids as well,
It's,
so
it's tricky.
I'm in my basement and they're literally upstairs in my room.
That's
My
what
wife's probably just going, "Claire."
exactly. That's how I am with my podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So you get it. The I do wanna mention one scene at least in particular because there's just it does let you off the leash a little, and it's the interrogation scene
Yes.
where he's kind of looping out. Was
Yes.
that one of those days where it was like, "Okay, now go a little
Yes, so
crazy
that's
with it?"
exactly what happened. So
Yeah.
on this job, it was really interesting doing a job where, you know, we could improvise dialogue here and there, but it wasn't going for laughs.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the times I would finish a scene and I'd almost want to give them another take because I felt like I wasn't fully earning my money, where I was like, you know, we could do more. And when I first read that interrogation scene, I read it in the tone of how every other episode had been. And so I read it, it's pretty heavy. And I asked David Rosen the question on one of the lines. And he said, "Oh, I actually see this as a chance for the audience to laugh and to have more levity."
Yeah.
And we had a bunch of discussions because I'm like, I just don't know if that's going to be consistent. And he's like, if it doesn't work, I'll trim it down. But he's like, but I would love you to play this a little bit looser and allow Carl to be panicking and allow the audience to laugh at him. He's like, because he's like, up to this point, Carl's been juggling, let all the balls fall.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so that was the only scene in this whole thing that felt familiar to me when I was shooting it. Cause I was like, once the cameras were set, we're doing long takes and I was like, oh, I know this.
Yeah.
I was like, this I could do all day. Some of the fights with Tatiana, 'cause she's such a great actress. I was
She's
so impressed
awesome.
with her. I loved working with her.
Yeah.
And Jesse Hodges is so good
Yep.
that I would really feel in certain scenes that I was taking this job home with me more than I'm used to on other ones, where I felt like I spent 3 months fighting with Tatiana. And when it left, I felt like that's how it would feel to go through a divorce with that woman, and I don't want to experience it. I'm
Well, that
mad
and
at her, and I
yeah,
don't feel good about this.
that and the marital stuff just feels really real. Like you can see where a
Yes.
really good relationship can just so easily fall apart.
So, yeah,
And that's kind of where it's
and it's
heartbreaking.
heartbreaking. Yes.
Yeah. And like Carl clamps down where Paula spirals outward,
Exactly
in
right.
this, obviously not
Well,
in that
also, what I think
interrogation scene.
Carl's trying to do is he's trying to grow from that relationship and do what he thinks is best for his kid. So he's a little bit like, fuck's sake, Paula, let me help us here. Like the
Mhm.
whole Idaho scene, when I read that, now, mind you, I've heard enough from the crew, all the other actors, the writer, David, the director. Everybody thinks Carl is being manipulative.
Yeah.
Uh,
And you're like, it
90%.
makes sense.
But when I was reading it the first time and she said, don't you think that's a little manipulative? I literally went like, give the guy a break here. What else could he do? And I thought like, yeah, the show is not from his point of view and he's getting beat up.
Yeah, I have to take a minute to ask about Beyond the Spider-Verse
Of
because my
course.
kids and I are just fucking
Yeah.
excited.
Yes.
So I love those movies. I love Peter B. Parker.
Me too.
I love your journey from rock bottom to finding his
Yeah.
way back on his feet to through mentorship and fatherhood. What can you say, at least in general, about where his final arc might be beyond the fatherhood of it all.
Well, I surely
Really?
hope it's not his final arc.
Yeah, me too.
I would be. I haven't loved playing a character the way I loved playing Peter B. It might be the character I've loved playing the most. Mind you, Nick Miller, all these characters, Lowry, they do mean a lot to me. But there's something about playing him and growing up caring about Spider-Man. And
Mhm.
then as I've aged, watching like a new generation kind of take over everything, but and do it in their way, which is wonderful. Like
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of Tom Holland, both on and off screen. I think he's just a winner. And I'm like, great, but I'm a lot older. And my Peter is different. And
Yeah.
so without saying anything, because I don't know much, we've recorded some stuff, and what I will say, there's some stuff in there and some sequences that I think are gonna blow people away. And I know people are gonna love it. But my big thing is I'm really excited to see Peter B. Parker back to being Spider-Man because I loved in the first one he had given up and he sees it, and then I thought the second one was so cute with kids. But you know this as somebody with kids yourself, you spend a couple years where you turn into like a real soft version of yourself, and you're like, oh my god, I have emotions. I didn't realize I had emotions until I had kids, and I was like, I can feel things.
Yeah.
And then all the stuff you used to care about, you stop caring about, and you're like, the only thing that matters is that. And
Mhm.
then another thing happens where you go like, well, I'm not dead yet. And there are things that I care about, and then you realize, and I'm kind of stronger now than I've ever been. And that's what I'm excited about the next chapter of Peter B. Parker, that he's not 80.
Yeah.
You know, like we got to remember that yes, he's a different version, but once you have kids and you enter that phase of life, that doesn't mean you're dead. You might be entering an unthinkably strong period of your life. And so I hope Peter's honored in that way. And the future that goes on for him, if it does, I want to see my Spider-Man being Spider-Man.
That or an animated spinoff, like a family sitcom with Peter B.
That
Parker.
would be
I
a
was just
blast. I know it's hard with anything that involves Peter Parker.
yeah.
So I know, like Spider Noir that looks so good with my
I've
guy
seen it.
Lamorne. Oh, have you seen it?
It's great.
I bet.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for Lamorne on that. But I think anything with Peter B is a little bit trickier. But if they crack the code, I'd love to do it.
Fingers crossed,
Me
man. They're
too.
giving me the wrap. I'll just say it, the show Maximum Pleasure Guaranteed. It's amazing.
Oh,
I
thanks.
really appreciate the time.
Great seeing you again, bub.
Yeah. Mike D'Angelo with the playlist.
Yes.
David and David. Well, should I go Rosen and Green since it's David and David?
Yeah, do it. Let's try it.
All right. Let's do that. How the heck are you fellas?
So good.
Really good.
Awesome. I absolutely adored Maximum Pleasure Guaranteed. So congratulations on
thank
it. It's
you.
really, really good.
Appreciate that.
And it's kind of like the ideal virtual junket show because I mean, I wanted to be like, should I really go with the camboy?
I was gonna keep my shirt on if you guys don't mind. I don't know.
I was like, should I do it as a bit? But then it's like kind of sad after the first 30 seconds.
I would have loved it just personally.
after the first 30.
Yeah, but the first 30 are a ride.
Yeah. There you're erotically charged.
Yeah,
Everything's great.
exactly.
But seriously, like the show's fantastic. It feels like this divorce drama that accidentally drank 5 Coke spiked Red Bulls and stumbled into a murder mystery or something like that.
I like that.
I'll
And-
take that.
Yeah. When you first crack the idea, does it start as like a murder mystery thriller, or did it start as a divorce drama, or did it just all of it was very much organic to the idea?
I think it was organic. It started as a thriller. It started as a single mom, lonely, living in this time of the epidemic of loneliness, reaching out through her computer, trying to find just a little bit of happiness, and falling into her own modern day Rear Window. And the circumstances surrounding her were divorce, custody battle, not really high up on the totem pole at work, and just a phone in her pocket that was constantly buzzing with everything from, bring lemonade to soccer practice to you're late for work to custody issues. So just really trying to set someone up in juggling the most possible chainsaws.
I love that voyeuristic angle, the kind of modern Rear Window, as you were saying, through like screens and webcams. How intentional was that when you're directing it? Green, I suppose. Were you thinking about framing Paula like she's always being watched? Are you, even when she's alone, are you doing certain things to like really accentuate that point?
Well, I think it's fun. One of the things we did do is we filmed those interactions live. So all
Oh,
of
cool.
there's no screen replacement. We're watching Paula and Trevor have their exchange, and I'm trying to coordinate direction in two different locations for two different actors, and it's really fun to then you set up all the technical, and it's pretty complicated, and then you let it loose and you do a few
Yeah.
takes. But I love the flaws. I love the technical difficulties. I love the weird blips and blurps in the reception and the crappy Wi-Fi, so all of that stuff plays into what I think is the eerie naturalism of some of those sequences.
I deal with it every day. Our
Us too.
TV podcast, yeah, our TV podcast is called Bingeworthy, and this is like the definition of that. I was hard pressed to think of a show that made me want to say it was actually that binge-worthy since this one. And every episode ends just daring you to not watch the next episode as soon as possible. So, how difficult is it to execute and come up with those exclamation points at the end of every episode, every 30 minutes, basically?
I think it's great that you say exclamation point because I think that's how they do feel. I think,
Yeah.
there's four boxes you got to check on a show like this. You got to have what, wow, weird, and whoa. And so if you got what, wow, weird, whoa, then you want to know what's next.
What
Yeah.
Wow Weird Whoa, the story of David Gordon Green in film, available at a bookseller. Love it.
I totally agree. Your star here, Tatiana. Obviously, she's immensely talented. She's doing everything in this show, whether it's drama or comedy or paranoia or desperation. So, David, I know you'd worked with her before, or David Gordon Green, you've worked with her before, but did you design the role, Rosen, with her in mind, or did you have just kind of stumble into this Tatiana Maslany does everything kind of thing?
I mean, we dreamed of a Tatiana Maslany, and we got one. We really, there was a lot on the roll, and to be honest, I don't think there was a show without Tatiana Maslany. So we, we it was written with no actor attached, and Tatiana actually wasn't available to us when we first were started working with Apple and starting to look, but when she became available, um you know like hawks we swooped, and she is just you'd follow her anywhere, as I keep saying. She's just
Yeah,
incredible.
she's
I
fantastic.
remember seeing Orphan Black for the first time years ago and just being astounded with that range, and then having previously worked with her in Stronger and discovering the great human behind the great thespian, which is always makes it a
Yes.
lot easier to dive into the trenches again into the next difficult journey. But when you've got someone that has that sense of playfulness, um, totally prepared and ready to try something new and innovate if it's not working or if there's an exploration to be had, she's ready to party.
Beyond what you see on the screen, she is a great filmmaker and collaborator in everything that she's doing behind the scenes, on the set, working with all many different actors of many different calibers, weighing in on something that the character might do or might not do. As as a writer, you own the character for a while, but then you basically, like, it's like your kid leaving for college. It's like it becomes an actor, and you don't have that much control anymore. And it's like when you hand it to the right person, it is the most incredible feeling in the world.
And another right person, Jake Johnson,
Yes.
obviously someone who audiences instinctively trust and root for. And you're here, you're kind of using that against them because, I mean, he has to be kind of antagonistic in certain parts of the series. Was that kind of casting idea part of it from the beginning to weaponize his familiarity and the good nature people have with him?
I think we knew going in that, oh, if you just read it on the paper, you might believe Carl is right. And and because a lot of things line up to be like, yeah, maybe Carl should have the kid. And so we 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 knew that Jake has such great acting chops that he would be able to play both the humor of it, but also could be a little bit of a heavy in places to help you go, to help you continue rooting for Paula, even when you might believe that he was correct.
Right. I've seen the whole thing, so you obviously have plans beyond this season, maybe, or at least an idea. When you
Sure.
pitched this, did you have like a certain season arc, or are you just taking it chunk by chunk, season by season?
We had an arc, of a bunch of seasons, and said how we felt it played out, and that I love having like a roadmap like that,
Yeah.
which is like you might throw the map out the window at a certain point, but we're sort of staying true to where we began. The end of the season was always planned to be what it's become, so we're keeping our fingers crossed that we can keep telling the story.
Yeah. I was researching and I noticed that you guys might be working together on a film called Supermax, which
Yes.
is the idea of this like impossible murder in a hyper controlled supermax environment. Because it's you, David Gordon Green, who are, I mean, you're so chameleon like as a director. You jump from like genre to genre, and it doesn't necessarily feel the same. Any of the times, like any of your films don't feel like your other films. So I'm curious if you can say, is this like a totally different thing that you haven't done before, like a specific kind of thriller or action
Totally
movie?
different. One of the things and I see that cool poster you got in your background. But
Hell yeah.
one of the things I've been wanting to do is is find something that has that infused flavor of drama and action that we haven't really got since we lost Tony Scott.
Oh,
And so this is the projects that I'm like really drawn to right now. And as I'm revisiting a lot of those classic movies, those brilliant movies, have that kind of grit and substance. And so when Rosen and his writing partner David Weil uh, showed me the script, I was like, it was just like triggering all these things. I'm always just looking to reinvent the buffet of the opportunities that I've had, the experience and the adventures that I've been lucky enough to have and try something new. And so this is just another one that we're hoping to be able to put together here before too long.
they're giving me one more minute, so I'm going to spend it on a
Yes.
Halloween question because I'm a massive Halloween guy.
Uh oh.
I'm part of multiple Halloween fan groups. I'm that guy. I know what they talk about on those things, especially like Halloween Ends, how divisive that is in
Yeah.
particular. And I'm sure you know this, but mostly I think it was divisive because of expectations of that final film and people wanting it to be Michael and Laurie war, the
Right.
whole time, like smashing the action figures together instead of like a rumination on evil or what it does to a town and how it changes shape, that kind of thing. So, and the Michael and Corey thing was divisive, but was there ever a version of that final movie that was maybe what the fans were expecting, like Michael and Laurie, and that's kind of the main
No,
thing?
I really couldn't find my end to a showdown movie. Everything that I write, I have to make it really personal or I don't want to get up in the morning. Like that's
Yeah.
what motivates me every day. And so that was a fun movie to be able to find a very unlikely group of film references like Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker, or My Bodyguard, these movies that I was triggered by that made it personal to me. And, it's not necessarily doing a fan survey before you dive in. You just but you try to do what's meaningful to you and put yourself and your heart into it. And so that's what I did. And that's, hopefully anything that I've done that's divisive in 1 minute,
Yeah.
people, over time can kind of reconnect or find a different way in when when time's done its thing. So I hope those people that turned away from it or shied away from what I was trying to achieve in the moment might give it another shot.
They're giving me the wrap. I'll just say Maximum Pleasure Guaranteed hits Apple TV Plus on May 20th. It friggin' rules. You guys did an amazing job.
Oh,
Thanks for this.
Thanks a
I
thanks.
lot, Mike.
appreciate it.
All right,
Good
take care.
talking. See ya.